What's up, guys? So right now, like last video, the video right before yesterday one, I actually posted half of this animated story, but I didn't post the other part. And let's just go back for the previous scenes. So it turned out this girl has a 7-year-old sister who's super smart, but also she won't tell anyone. But she turns out she's not even mute. She won't tell anyone. And then she can't take it anymore because she feels guilty, and everyone just gives her a gift, and she really doesn't like it, and she wants to get out of it, but she's also helping her sister. She's going cray-cray with her sister. Oh, and also, did I tell you that I woke up 6 in the morning today, and it's 7:09 right now, and I am tired. I just woke up today, just thinking, hey, let's make a YouTube video, and not in a good way. I am tired, sloppy, so don't mind me if I kind of disturb you. Okay? Now let's get to the video.
One started laughing. The professor looked so disappointed. This one really popular girl who had been jealous of all the attention I received threw her sandwich at me. Soon everyone followed suit and started throwing their food. I ran out before the professor could stop them. I was so sad and embarrassed. I just sat in the hallway and cried. I didn't ask to be the smart girl, I cried to myself. Those girls were jerks. I looked up and saw one of the foreign exchange students. He was incredibly popular and super hot. I was completely frozen. I never thought he would speak to me unless you solve that equation. I couldn't keep the lie up any.
The fact that you're crying and then you meet him and you're like, wow, he's so pretty and he's super popular, and you grab his hands, it's just kind of creepy, okay? In my mind. I don't know about you, but creepy in my mind.
Any longer. Actually, I didn't do it, I admitted. He looked pretty surprised. That is not exactly something you can Google. I tried, he said. How did you manage to find it? I dug into my bag and pulled out the note my sister gave me. I figured he spoke a few languages and studied linguistics. Maybe he could help me out here. He stared at it for a moment and shoved the paper back into my hands. Before I could say anything, he covered my mouth.
Okay, so basically, this guy in this school is just so weird. Like, no one can, put your hands on each other unless there's permission from the other person. But okay.
Spoke a few languages and studied linguistics. Maybe he could help me out here. He stared at it for a moment and shoved the paper back into my hands. Before I could say anything, he covered my mouth. We should meet in private, he said. What does the paper say? I asked. It says nothing, but you should really come to my dorm room tonight. 7 o'clock sharp, he said again. Okay. I bright red. Perfect. It's a date, he said.
Okay, she thinks it's a date. Like, looking at her, she looks embarrassed that she thinks it's a date, but she's just helping you. But yeah, this is just how it goes, I guess. Wow, okay.
He said. Then he winked at me and darted in the other direction. It was confusing.
Okay, guys, that stupid ad was over. AKA, it was about food, so I didn't get fully annoyed, but yeah, okay, let's go back, and we were right here when she thought it was a date, but I think he's kind of like helping out her, so I think she should be more appreciative instead of thinking everything is like weird.
Darted in the other direction. It was confusing, but I was not about to.
Oh, look at that.
He said. Then he winked at me and darted in the other direction.
That's so
it was
cute. Okay.
Confusing, but I was not about to question it. I wasn't used to getting asked on dates, and when the smartest and hottest guy in your class asks you to meet him at 7, you meet him at 7. I really thought it was a romantic date. Your class asks you to meet him at 7, you meet him at...
Okay, that's creepy. The fact that she has no pupil is just... Oh, that's creepy creeps.
At 7. I really thought it was a romantic date, but I didn't feel that way once I got to his dorm room. See, I had spent the last few hours getting all dressed up in my best...
Wait, what? Okay, that does not look like your best. That looks like someone's sloppy handwriting. This whole thing is animated, but yeah.
Outfit with all my makeup done. I even wore high heels. The boy, on the other hand, well, he just looked stressed out. It was obvious he had to run back to his dorm and hadn't left his computer since our conversation earlier that day. He barely looked up at me when I walked in the room. "You do know why I asked to meet you here?" he asked. I just kind of sat there for a second. I didn't know what to say. He seemed very angry all of a sudden. "Who wrote the paper?" he shouted. "Who was it?" He demanded I tell him who wrote that paper. I told him my little sister drew it. He flipped his computer around very quickly. My heart stopped when I saw what was on the screen. It was my little sister, but she was wearing a business suit and had her hair done up very maturely. This was much different from her princess footsie pajamas I was used to seeing. He asked if I recognized the woman in the photo. "The woman?" I questioned. "That's my little sister. My parents just adopted her last year." His response? "She may be your adoptive sister, but she is not little." He told me to hand the letter.
Okay, so she is not. Okay, so it turns out she's not a little sister. Okay, that's disappointing.
Little. He told me to hand the letter back over to him, and he translated. It was in his native tongue, and he just wanted to make sure we were in a more private place before he disclosed what the letter was about. The content of the letter was something I wasn't prepared to hear. It said that my little sister was on the run from the police. She was a big scientist in her home country, and she was framed for a murder. She begged me not to let anyone see the paper, and she would promise never to attract attention to me again. Whoops.
Okay, that's cute. The second, she's a scientist. Okay, a local scientist. I can kind of move that, but she was framed for murder. Who would want to frame such a little adorable little type of woman? Because I can't say what kid, can I? Okay.
Whoops. Here I laid out a confession to a total stranger. I asked him, "How dangerous can she be? She's just a little girl who spends her days playing with ponies and dolls." He pulled up a newspaper article about a 38-year-old woman who looked like a child. He explained she had been wanted in his home country for over 10 years, longer than I thought she was alive for. I told him that she had to be framed. She was so sweet. But he wasn't so sure about that and asked if he could meet her in person. He told me that she suffered from a disease called Turner syndrome. It's what gave her a strange appearance and let her pass as someone much younger. She was actually an adult, a very smart adult. Even if she did lie about her age, it's not the same as murder, I argued. I could not believe the sweet and charming girl who had tried to cheer me up by solving my math equation was a monster. I agreed to let him meet her, only to prove to him that he was wrong about her. It seems pretty straightforward, right?
Oh, she looks confident. What if it turns out she is caused for the murder? Well, this is kind of turning out to be sad, okay? We're kind of halfway through the story now. And I'm crying.
Well, it was one of the worst decisions of my life. He told me that we needed to keep absolute secrecy. He erased his computer history and had me write down my address on a piece of paper. He told me that if anything happened, I should check under his bed for a red envelope. I thought he was just being dramatic. How often do dates turn deadly? He told me not to answer any strange phone calls I got and to stay on the down low. Piece of cake. Or so I thought. I went straight home that day and we decided to meet the next night. He was to come to my house at around 6 p.m. I told my parents that he was my boyfriend and he wanted to meet the family. I was a little excited, even if it was just pretend. Suddenly, I got a text from him asking for my address. I thought it was kind of weird since I gave it to him earlier, but I texted the details back to him. When I heard the knock at the door, I ran over. Instead of a handsome foreigner in a suit, I got a few men in official uniforms. They walked in and demanded that we hand over my sister. I ran to protect her, but we were too late. They dragged her away. As my parents called the cops, I called the hot foreign student. How dare he sell my sister out like that? When he didn't answer, I jumped right into my car and drove to campus. I was going to give him a piece of my mind.
Ooh, she's mad.
When I got there, his dorm room was open and it looked like someone had broken into it. I searched through his stuff and noticed that there were some things missing: his phone and his laptop. I quickly ran to his bed and searched under it. I felt around until my hand touched a piece of paper. Sure enough, it was a red envelope. I immediately opened it. In it, he told me that someone must have tracked his computer and gotten information. I should make sure not to answer any messages, even those that came from his phone. If I could, I should try to convince my family to move or go on an extended vacation. Most importantly, I should never tell his or my parents anything. It would only put more people in danger. I was sobbing. If I was only smart enough to solve that stupid equation, maybe none of this would have ever happened. I was feeling guiltier than ever, and it only got worse as time went on. Later that night, I received a message from a woman saying,
"Oh, it's not her fault. Hi, I'm the fake boy from Mom. Have you seen him?" Okay.
saying she was his mother. She explained she got my social media from her son's page. She told me how she hadn't heard from him the whole day. I didn't tell her anything. It's the least I could do. Still, it really hurt her not to have any answers. They opened up a police investigation, and to our horror, there were videos of men dragging him away at around 3 in the morning. The realization of the situation made my blood run cold. 3 a.m.? That means he probably wasn't the one who texted me earlier in the day asking for my address. I was responsible for both of their disappearances. Until this day, we have no idea what happened, or where my sister went, or where my fake boyfriend is. Please, if you know any information at all about this, I beg that you put it in the comments below. It's been some time now and I can't get any sleep, knowing that I single-handedly ruined 2 lives.
Oh, that's so sad. Well, guys, okay, so right now, I'm gonna have to stop at this time because obviously it's at the end. So I'm about to play, I might play this next week, okay? Just a heads up, okay? See ya.